Warm welcome to everyone to our Her Fund webinar series, and it's an amazing pleasure to have with you Svetoslava Georgieva to talk about the EIC funding opportunities for women entrepreneurs and investors, So today we're going to discuss with you, Svetla, about the opportunities that the EIC Fund are offering. But just before we start, I would like to give you a brief introduction on how the session will be running today. And then we can start diving into the topic. So I will give you a very brief introduction of the Her Fund project in case some of you don't know about the project and what we're aiming for. Before I give the screen to Svetla, she will give a presentation, and we will save time as well for a discussion together. So if you have any questions or so on, just keep them until the last 20 minutes kind of for the webinar. So presenting you, Svetla. So you have extensive experience in finance, both in the public and the private sector. You are today the chair of the EIC Fund, the VC arm of the European flagship innovation program, supporting breakthrough technologies and innovation. This is covering about 10 billion euro budget. And you're a member of the investment committee of InvestEU as well, the European Commission's program that aims to mobilize over 372 billion euros in investments. You're the Bulgarian representative in the Pan-European Guarantee Fund that is managed by the EIB Group and is established in the context of that was established in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. You're the executive director of the Fund of Funds in Bulgaria, which is managing a portfolio of about 600 million euros of debt and equity mandates, and responsible for the establishment, fund manager selection of and oversight the 5 VC funds. You work in banking before and equity investment in London and in the European Commission in Brussels, dealing with EU economy governance and state aid for banks in Greece, Italy, and Slovenia. What an amazing background. So in today's session, you will dive us into the EIC funding opportunities tailored for women-led companies and investors. And as a key stakeholder in fostering inclusive innovation, we know that the EIC provides crucial support through instruments like the EIC Accelerator, the newly launched EIC STEP Scale-Up Scheme, and the Trusted Investor Network. So it's very exciting to learn all these funding mechanisms that can help scale women businesses and enhance investment portfolio while contributing to a more diverse and equitable innovation ecosystem. So as I said, before we dive into all this amazing program, I would like to give you a few words on the Her Fund project. First of all, why did we launch the Her Fund project? Well, as we all know, men-only startup, they capture about 91% of European investment capital, and this is basically not acceptable. Why? Also, one of the reasons is that women and minority-led funds, they manage just below or just above 1% of global asset management industry. But at the same time, we know that empowering women in investment is an economic opportunity. So these figures that I just presented in the slide before are really critical in how can we enhance our European economic landscape. We know that female entrepreneurs on average they generate 150% more revenues for each euro invested. Venture firms with women partners are 2 times more likely to invest in women-led businesses. And we know that closing the gap in business could increase global GDP by 26%. So with all of that in mind, we launched this Her Fund project like last year. So we celebrated our first anniversary last March, and it's a 2-year project, bringing together partners from all across Europe, as you can see on the map. Our goal is to build a community of gender-conscious investors and stakeholders to support women-led startups and create more inclusive and gender-equal innovation ecosystems in Europe. We rely on four main objectives. I'm not going to enter into the details because this is not the appropriate for right now. I want to save time for the discussion with Svetla, but basically on the screen you can see our four objectives: to close the gender gap from connect companies with investors, look into the financial existing landscape, and create a strong and lasting pan-European community of gender-conscious stakeholders and investors. This is a very brief overview of our key initiatives and outcome. So we have launched and published a series of guidelines and recommendations that are available on our website. Last year, we launched the Her Fund Talks that is also available on the website and our digital platform. It promotes women leaders in the ecosystem, but also men, and we want to give the voice to strong role models in Europe that are making a change. We also have the Her Fund News through a quarterly newsletter and flash news to maintain the community up to date of our activities. The Her Fund training, we closed our first cohort in February, and we are now working on opening a second cohort, also including e-learning methods, programs. Last and major outcome is the launch of the digital platform. I put the QR code here, so you're very welcome to join the community online. You will have access to training modules, other recommendation, be able to engage among within the community and so on. In the autumn, we are planning to launch Her Fund coaching and mentoring. So just stay in touch, and we will inform more about that in the coming months. We have a bunch of events as well that is planned during the coming year, and here are some examples of the next upcoming ones. You will be able to register through the website. And last but least, our webinar series. So you can prepare your agendas, we have our session today, and then the next one will be in May, talking about how to build a business that wins from day one. And it will be a great pleasure to have Sandra Kobel, CEO and co-founder at Zili, with us. Then we will take a break because in June we will have some online activities related to trainings, but then we will be back in September talking about relationship and networking for both founders and investors. And it will be great to hear from Evke Jensen, founder and CEO of She Does It. And in October, we will have a special edition, which will most likely be an afterward session talking about sales reimagine as a strong support to build your company. And it will be a great pleasure to have David Rees, CEO and founder at OP8. I hope I didn't take too much time because I really want to hear from you, Svetla. So here are some QR codes to join the project, but I really want to give you the floor now. So I'll let you share your screen.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. While I'm sharing my screen, let me first of all congratulate you on building Her Fund and supporting this community and network. This is extremely important. I'm sure it's of great help to many women entrepreneurs and investors. So it's very exciting for me to be here and have the opportunity to directly present to you the opportunities coming from the EIC. So thanks a lot for the invitation. I'm very happy to be part of your community and to support you in any possible way. So let me start with the presentation. It's a couple of slides. Please feel free to interrupt me if you have an urgent question. Otherwise, we've allowed for quite some time for Q&A session, and I'd really love for this to be a dynamic discussion. So please don't hesitate to come up with questions, suggestions, feedback, whatever you have. It's an open conversation. And by the way, sorry about my voice. It's a bit low today. but I have 2 small children, and they, keep me on track of every viruses that's come around in the spring. So apologies for that, but I hope you can understand and follow. So the EIC funds. The EIC fund is an independent VC fund that is structured like any other VC fund. It's registered in Luxembourg. It has its own fund manager, which is Alter Domus. It's a company based in Luxembourg. We have an investment advisor. Our investment advisor is European Investment Bank. And most importantly, this is the investment arm of the European Innovation Council. It's a huge program by the European Commission. It's financed by Horizon Europe. This is the largest R&D program globally, by the way. It is the European R&D, joint R&D program. And it's one of the most bold actions that the Commission has taken in some years to support entrepreneurs, particularly entrepreneurs that are working in the field of deep science and deep technologies. So companies that have science as a basis of their business and are developing breakthrough innovation technologies that have the potential to change the landscape in Europe. Of course, all of these startups, as many of you would know, need patient capital to support them, need a lot of mentoring, a lot of additional services that will help them to develop, but most of all, need capital to help them develop the technology, because usually these companies are much riskier in the beginning, so the value of debt is, let's say, quite wide. And they need longer time to develop and integrate their technologies. So that's why European Innovation Council exists. Europe is very good in creating science, producing patents and R&D projects, but not so good in turning those into successful businesses and hopefully unicorns as well. So the idea of the EIC is to support these companies and these processes. It is quite unique opportunity. It provides combination of grants and equity. And I think it's safe to say that we're the only investor in Europe to provide this combination of grants and equity. So you apply to the EIC accelerator to receive approval for the grant, and then you come to the EIC fund for the equity part. The grants are up to 2.5 million euros, and they're very helpful, as I said, to help you scale up your technologies. And then the equity commitment that we could give through the accelerator is up to 10 million equity. So that would be predominantly seed and Series A. Our average ticket is actually around 3 million. But it allows us to go up to 10 million euros. These, of course, minority shareholding in early stages, up to 50% of a round. This is very important. So we never go naked in transactions, as we say in the industry. As we are a public investor, we would like to see our role as empowering the private capital to flow into your companies by giving you the grants, by giving you the commitment of an equity ticket, and empowering these companies to actually also raise from the private market. Because only the combination of public and private money is what brings excellent results. And I think what's very important for the EIC and the fund is to fund companies that are strategic for Europe, but are on breakthrough technologies, but are also excellent in what they do and have a great impact on the market. So our deal flow comes solely from the EIC accelerator. As I said, this is a process that is run by the European Commission. So they do the initial selection of our deals. So we don't do active sourcing of our pipeline. This would sort of defer us from a normal VC, but we do go through the accelerator pipeline and we approve, we do full due diligence and approve the companies that are eligible to receive the equity financing. We don't lead transactions. It's a pari passu investment, obviously, and we invest alongside qualified lead investors. This is very important because some of the investors would not, like angel investors, individuals, are not always part of this definition. But we don't lead transactions, so we expect the companies, once they have the grant and the commitment for the equity, to find a lead investor, to set the terms and the valuation, and then we join the funding round. So we invest in companies that are established mainly in the EU, but also associated countries like Switzerland, Israel. UK is now an associated country, but unfortunately we don't invest in equity in UK, only grants for a number of reasons I'm not going to go into. So where do we stand now? The budget that we have is 4 billion plus, potentially to go up to 5 billion. The portfolio, we've already have closed and invested and signed 1.1 billion and another 1.5 billion in the pipeline. So either going through negotiations or in syndication currently. 24 countries and growing. We have 272 investee companies. We'll probably end up with a portfolio of 500 or 550. As I said, average investment of 3 million up to 10 million. And the new part that I think is very interesting to announce here, at the end of last year, we opened a new, let's say, compartment, a new investment arm, which is for scaling up early growth strategic areas for Europe. So companies that are a bit later in their development are looking for scale-up capital. Here we can provide up to 30 million equity tickets directly to companies without the grant part. So this is equity only. The process is much streamlined and very quick. I'll give you some numbers from our first round from this year. It's an ongoing process. And we are aiming to do assessment of the companies that apply every quarter. And as I said, I'll give you more details on what we discovered during this quarter. Let me give you a bit more details on the portfolio. As I said, 1.1 billion invested, 272 companies, majority equity, but also some convertible loans. The sectors we invest in, I would say we invest across different areas and technology verticals, but if we have to summarize them, that would be health, digital, and green. So these are the priorities of Europe at the moment and going forward. A big part of our portfolio is in medical technologies and biotechnologies, including drug discovery, life science. We also have a quite substantial and some good companies in quantum and advanced computers and also semiconductors. Now, obviously, this portfolio is growing, so these numbers will change. I think in the beginning of building up the EIC Fund Medical Technologies and Life Sciences, naturally being in a COVID period back then, were quite popular, but we don't have sort of quotas or anything, so this is a live process. We do have actually an annual program. European Innovation Council annual program is available online, work program, that outlines our annual budgets, and in case there are any specific technologies that we will focus in that particular year, which we called challenges. So you know, our goals on how to form these portfolio in terms of technology verticals is obviously evolving, especially in the current geopolitical situation. It is quite possible, and it's currently under discussions, that the fund will also open to dual-use technologies. So on the right-hand side, you see the distribution among countries. As I said, we cover EU countries plus associated ones. So you see Israel and Switzerland here. There are some countries who have not yet taken part, but we do massive promotion campaigns throughout countries, and the biggest startup events that are around in Europe. But more or less, the distribution is quite good. We do take extra steps to mobilize interest and success of companies that are in the so-called emerging widening countries or emerging innovation countries from certain regions of Europe. And we do see the numbers gradually growing there as well. Now, we can more or less claim that the EIC fund is turning it quite safely into the largest deep tech VC in Europe. This has been a bold but difficult exercise. Building such a big public investor. It took a couple of years, but we're quite proud to say that this is currently working. It's been established in the market, and what we expect is for the EIC fund to expand in the future as well. So the first part of this expansion is our STEP compartment. As I mentioned, this is additional resources that are allocated to the EIC fund for supporting scale-ups. So by scale-ups, we mean larger investment tickets, 10 to 30 million, catalyzing rounds of 50 to 150 millions in scale-up companies, so Series B, Series C. So what we're looking for in these companies, so this is equity only support. This does not include the grant component of the EIC accelerator, because the idea here is that the companies are a bit more advanced and perhaps need scale-up capital rather than grants. But the idea is to support critical technologies for Europe, strategic companies that are able to bring Europe further in the technology frontier. So that's why this is a very important initiative. The budget for 2025 is 300 million. Half of it has been, almost half of it has been already allocated. We expected the budget to go up to 900 million, so 300 million in the subsequent 2026 and 2027. So this thing is ongoing, and I think it's very good for you to keep on the radar. As I said, it's an open call. We will be aiming to do evaluation rounds every quarter. So don't hesitate to check out the call online and see if this is something for you. So the aim is to move where private markets are still not quite certain or not fast enough. Of course, this means that we're going to expand our pipeline. There will be more capital available for companies, but also more quality deals and more co-investment opportunities with the EIC fund, which is also a very important topic for us. Just quickly, from our first batch of STEP companies, we had a strong initial demand, 34 applicants for 429 million euros of investment. The evaluation was quite quick. We took over about 6 weeks to assess which companies meet the EIC criteria, which is, as I said, excellence, impact, the strategic nature of the technology and the business that developed, but also very important eligibility criteria is the initial commitment from private market investor, at least 20% of the round needs to be pre-committed from another private market investor for us to consider the investment in that company. So 7 companies have been selected, and they're now starting on their due diligence and investment process, which is pretty standard. It can take around 8 weeks. If the process is very fast and the companies are ready to go with their documentation, or around 3 to 5 months, which is a standard process for a VC. The announcement was made last week during the EIC summit. And further rounds are expected, as I said, possibly each quarter. Right. So these were the main areas of investment and the main instruments that we're using. Something very, very important that we've been working on, and something that we're quite proud of, is the trusted investor network. Having the EIC as an instrument is a much wider exercise than just having a VC fund investing. The idea here is to develop the ecosystem in Europe, the deep tech ecosystem, in terms of entrepreneurs, but also in terms of investors. So the vision, when we came up with the idea to create an investor network around the EIC fund, was to create a community of like-minded investors who can collaborate with the EIC fund, but also amongst each other. We call them trusted private sector investors, but in reality, our members, the TIN network, are most of the deep tech technology-focused funds supporting European innovators. So the main goals here is, of course, to build a community, but also to enhance the syndication and co-financing opportunity for our portfolio companies. So as I said, the idea of this financing is to provide patient capital, but also to motivate, initiate more private investors in these companies. Establish a reliable partnership and ecosystem that shares the same objectives for scaling technologies and innovations in Europe, and also leveraging investors with information, with pipeline. So we do open up our pipeline across Europe for investors to participate and co-invest with us. How is this organized? So we have one annual high-level policy exchange that again happened last week during the EIC summit. A lot of our members were there, and they met with the commissioner, Zaharyeva, for startups and scale-ups, but also some other policy makers. I think we met 4 heads of commissioners' cabinets, explaining what they have in the future as priorities. And I think this type of dialogue between the political and the VC investment community hasn't happened before at this scale, but is also quite helpful in the current geopolitical situation we are at. We also have other meetings during big events, startup events and conferences around Europe. Our next one will be at VivaTech. We'll have one at Tech Barbecue, and then Slush. So we organize dinners, different presentation, information exchanges, etc. And the third format is thematic and policy workshops. So here, these are short events like today, 1 hour, where we go in depth in the form of a roundtable or presentations to discuss key topics and innovation around Europe. Like last month, we had a life science dedicated session. Our program manager for life science participated. Actually, the program manager role of the European Innovation Council, I open a bracket here, is a very unique position. So these are the people who manage the entire portfolio from early stage research that receive grant only, all the way through the companies that go into the funds with the equity. So these people have an overview of what's going to happen in 10 years in some of those technology, because they look through really some of the excellent research that's happening in institutes and universities around Europe. So these type of exchanges, they're quite helpful. Currently, we have over 100 members. We initially had the first cohort with 74 funds around Europe, 64 VCs, 7 national promotional institutions, and 3 supporting organizations. We welcomed last week during the summit another 37 members. You see some of them on screen. So the idea is to keep this manageable, at the same time as wide as possible to funds that are actually interested and in the topic of deep tech investors. What we do is we sign a charter where the funds commit that they will invest in at least one EIC companies in the future. Of course, it's a soft commitment. We can't tie them to that. But on the other hand, they get access to one of our investment officers from the European Investment Bank, our investment advisor, and can have direct information, also reach out for due diligence questions. Of course, the EIB being a large institution is doing very thorough due diligence, including technical, legal. They work with legal companies in all European countries. So that really helps also the investment process. Hopefully, we'll continue expanding. At least my idea is to also have a special place for women investors in there, and would like to see more and more interest from that. So thank you very much. That was a quick run up through something that is quite big as an ecosystem. It provides really unique opportunities for entrepreneurs and for investors, and something that luckily also as a result of the great work of the Commission and everyone involved in this exercise, will most probably be further expanded with the new Commission policies and programs. Thanks a lot for the attention, and I'll be very happy to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you so much. Very interesting, and I think that there's a strong commitment from the European Commission to continue boosting innovation in Europe. And thanks a lot for joining us and sharing all the insight there. Is there any questions from the audience? I have some, and while you refresh your mind, because obviously, this for me, I think this is also a great opportunity to create support for women entrepreneurs accessing funding, because you have the commitment from the European Commission. I think, as you said, you're also looking for backing women entrepreneurs. How can we support you leveraging instruments, bringing the investors there? I think in the audience we have a bunch of investors as well. How can we use those instruments to facilitate supporting women entrepreneurs and bringing the investors into those communities? Because as we know, if we want more female founders accessing the capital, we need also to bring the right investors at the table. So yeah, is there anything we can support you more through this project and all the other projects we're working with?
Yes, thanks for the question. I didn't mention specifically, but of course we take extra effort to target more and more women entrepreneurs to come into our pipeline. We have some soft targets for that, but there is a lot of promotional events that are happening, a lot of side meetings, like last week during the EIC summit, we had a personal meeting between investors and entrepreneurs and the commissioner for startups and scale-ups. She's very open to hear any feedback and suggestions. So we also have the Women Entrepreneurs Prize, which was also given during the EIC summit. So this is really a special tribute for women entrepreneurs and women leaders in technology and R&D. So this is something we do every year, and it's really great. And a number of other initiatives that are ongoing. When it comes to investors, we, as I said, just started the Trusted Investor Network, but this is a community and a platform that is very usefully there to discuss these topics. And I think why not, for example, doing a dedicated session for that? Because we've already have over 100 of the top funds investing in deep tech in Europe, and really all the names are there. So why not having a session of them addressing their issues or challenges or recommendations of how we can actually raise awareness and have more women entrepreneurs and more women in leading positions in investors and VC funds themselves. So, we have this network, and of course, we would be very happy to welcome women entrepreneurs who would also fit the profile and would have an interest in deep tech investing. We're open for that. We're open for more suggestions, but that comes to mind right now.
Yeah, that's a great idea to have more discussions and also engaging with the community to get the feedback, and that's great. Actually, the platform allows that. We through the platform we can create conferences or like calls. We can also have groups where we can have discussions and so on. So that could be something we can look into. So I see that there starts to be some questions in the chat. So Joanna, you have a question about any opportunities for early stage.
Yes, that's a good question. Sorry if my presentation was sort of skewed into the scale-up part, because this is something new that we just launched at the end of last year. As I said, we have 900 million dedicated to these scale-ups, but then the rest of the over 3.5 billion of commitment that we have from the Commission is actually targeted at earlier stage companies in seeds or Series A stage. So the average ticket is about 2.8 million. So that's okay. It's not pre-seed, but it's relatively early stage, and this is combined with a grant. Now we don't have the 500 million ticket. Like the lowest we can get is 500 million in terms of the ticket. So I wouldn't discourage you to apply if you're a smaller company, by no means. Also, I think the grant part here is dedicated to these early stage companies, so they can use the grant to develop their technology, and then use the equity ticket, which could be 600 million or 1 million ticket. We do not have a accelerator as a concept, though. It's not like a Diana, for example, which is supporting the NATO Innovation Fund. However, there are two other parts of the EIC program, which are the EIC Pathfinder and EIC Transition, for which I didn't speak today because they're not related to equity investments. They're grant only, and they support early stage research. So the Pathfinder is really still from a research environment, TRL, I don't know, up to 4, 5, something like that. The transition is then proof of concept type that could be also considered an early stage support. So I don't know if that answered the question.
And the accelerator, I think it's about from TRL 6.
Yes,
So basically we get the
accelerated.
grant from TRL 6 to 8, and then the market, when you get ready for the market, then this is where the equity is taking over, right?
Exactly. And we do have also the opportunity. There's some gap between the grant and the equity part. So I think the combination of the two are really designed to support earlier stage companies.
Because I would like this session to be interactive if you want people in the audience. So I can read the questions, obviously, but maybe it's good if you want to ask them. If we take in order, the next one is from Anna Boeva. Do you want to take it? Otherwise, I can read it for you. But feel free to ask it yourself if you feel like it. If not, I will. I can read it. No worries. So Anna is asking. So she's thanking you for the overview, and she sees a lot of focus on scale-ups. So if you could tell more about the startup support, access to mentors and events. Is this only for the beneficiaries, or non-beneficiaries can also benefit from those programs?
Yeah, no, thanks for this question. And again, sorry to focus so much on the scale-up part. Actually, the EIC is designed to support startups, early stage startups. So the predominant part of the EIC accelerator is already, as you mentioned, is on average TLR technology ready level readiness 6 to 8. So that's not scale up by no means. And as I said, the tickets can be as low as 500 million. So the scheme is designed to support startup. In terms of additional support, this is a very important question. We do have a whole ecosystem designed to support our beneficiaries. We have the business acceleration services, we call them BAS, which provide training to our startups, how to pitch to companies. This training is provided internally, but we also have external providers. We help them communicate, get in touch with investors. We bring them to different global fairs in, in the Silicon Valley, in Dubai, all over the world, where, for example, when we see an opportunity, we bring part of our life science portfolio, part of our quantum portfolio. There is the program, some cooperation with the US as well, of how to enter the US market, how to cooperate with the US in general. So there is a number of initiatives, and these support initiatives are actually very, very important. And what's also very important, that this is a community of entrepreneurs. So the entrepreneurs themselves learn a lot from each other. Many of our entrepreneurs, we bring them with us to events so they can use the EIC to expand their network, to present their products, to meet investors, to meet like-minded entrepreneurs. So this is really, it's really a community. Of course, most of the benefits and the services are related to our beneficiaries. We do have a lot of information campaigns, events that we do in the countries, which are also targeted to non-beneficiaries or hopefully future beneficiaries. A part of our flagship annual event, EIC Summit, is also open for non-beneficiaries, and it's a very, if you haven't attended so far, that was last week unfortunately, but I would encourage you to go next year and find out more about our startups, about the new policies related to the EIC that will be coming up.
Yeah, thank you. And the EIC Summit was really good last year. I mean, it was really impressive, the number of startups. And if I may add to your comment as well, because obviously the EIC is mainly support and mostly supporting the EIC beneficiaries. And what you said was is also all the services around are extremely important for the entrepreneurs. But you have also other projects like ours, for instance, the Herfen project, where we provide support through trainings, the digital platform. We aim also to connect founders to between themselves, connect with investors. As I mentioned in my presentation earlier, we will have coaching and mentorship later on this year. We are organizing a bunch of events as well, where we look into mixing a bit the activities during the events, including matchmaking with investors. So there's a lot of activities that projects are also providing. I mean, there's Women Tech EU as well that is offering grants. There's a lot of cascade funding projects as well for the investors. There's Women Invest EU for founders. I'm thinking of We Rise. There's Empower Women. I mean, there's really a lot of initiatives also aside the EIC that can be very interesting to explore for women entrepreneurs and investors. We are really looking to work closer together, so it's easier for the communities to hear and to find out. I also really encourage you to join our platform. One of the things we didn't discuss, and maybe it's something we could look into together later on, Svetla. We are planning to create a syndicate through the Herfen project. So we had our first cohort of investors. So we would like to invite them, for instance, into this. We are looking into other existing projects as well that are doing syndicates in Europe. But maybe this is a discussion we can look into together to see if there's anything we can work together with the EIC to better support women entrepreneurs through this kind of funding. Let's go back to I'm also careful with the time. We still have 10 good minutes. Is there anyone who wants to ask their question? I see Sonal, Leslie, Marta, Christina, Lizavic. Leslie, go.
Hi there. I see a lot of questions about early stage funding, and mine is related to early stage funding, but specifically around social impact funding, because we have a startup, female based, also towards women, and our priorities are very much around our purpose. So we want to be profitable, but not at the expense of the people, our mission. So what kind of investment vehicles are you looking at? Is it just traditional VC funding, or will you have social impact funds as well, like patient capital, grants, etc.?
Okay, so thank you for the question. This is also very important. We don't have like a category or target specifically for social impact funding, and I explain why immediately, because as mentioned, this is financed by Horizon Europe, which is predominantly a science and R&D program. So the idea here is to support breakthrough technologies, science projects, R&D based businesses, and technological businesses. Of course, this does not kill the social impact perspective at all. I mean, if you can combine those two, that's great. But this is not per se the focus of the program. In terms of grants and equity, yes, as mentioned, the EIC Accelerator is a combination of grants and equity. But you have the EIC Pathfinder and Transition, which finance earlier stage projects with grants only. So this is something to look at, definitely. But social financing and social impact financing in general is very important for the EU as well. And here I can share a bit more details from my other hat, my other position at InvestEU. So I'm also sitting in the investment committee of InvestEU. The idea there is we give a AAA European guarantee to development banks of Europe to finance riskier projects, to finance projects that are aligned with the policies and priorities of Europe. And one of those segments is actually social impact funding. So through the EIF, so we grant a guarantee to the EIF. They have a special department that finances social impact funds only. And by saying social impact funds here, I mean funds that have targets, concrete KPIs in their fund structure, in their waterfall, that would target social impact businesses and entrepreneurs, and a portfolio which is balanced towards returns, but also very concrete social impact KPIs. So this is the way this is done currently. We financed a number of really great social impact funds through that program, and it's actually quite successful.
Thank you very much. Can you please post the name of it?
InvestEU.
InvestEU, yes. If you go on the website, you will find a lot of the social impact funds that we have financed, but also they're done through the EIF as well. So you can check this out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then I see Rosario, you're next in line, please.
We can't hear you.
Now you're muted, yeah. The traditional.
Yes, thank you so much. Good morning for the presentation. I have a question because I am a co-founder of a startup. We are already on the market. So we started with some problems with light development research. And when we inserted the products that needed less R&D and development, and we want to increase our department. But we have actually several products with several TRL stage. So when we are talking here about the different and the opportunity for different and categorizing the kind of investment, how should we approach our if you want to candidate, I'm missing the word, to the program, how, because we are not talking about a project that has one kind of product. We are acting on the market, we have a niche market, and we assume that we can bring alternatives to the market. They are biocycle, it's circular economy, it's biological products. So how can we address this question? Because it's very difficult when I hear about the TRL for one product, but we have actually a pipeline of projects that we are working on, and we need the financing to do it quicker and better.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for presenting your case and for your question. It's a special case, so I don't know about your products and the details. I do encourage you to look at our EIC work program online. It's a very extensive document, and it will give you very good guidelines on which part, EIC Pathfinder, Transition, or Accelerator, you can apply. You have all the deadlines, the budgets, and the eligibilities. So this would give you a very good first sort of intro to which part fits your different project, your different products. But if you ask me, so the first question to ask is, I understand the different products, but again, if you're building a business, you have a coherent strategy of where you're going and what you want to create. So the question is, where are you with this strategy? Are you still very early stage, working on the R&D, advancing the different products and proof of concept? Or are you already at a stage where you can approach investors? Are you investable or not yet? These are the questions you can judge according to, and then if the answer is yes, we would like to approach investors already, then definitely apply to the accelerator. If the question is no, we need to dig deeper in the technology, then go for the grant only parts, Transition or Accelerator or Pathfinder.
Okay, thank you so much.
And also maybe you can look beyond the EIC, because there's a lot of also of opportunities that can be interesting for your R&D development in collaborative projects. So you have the Horizon Europe, the Pillar 2, but then depending on your domain, there can be live program that can be interesting as project based, where in the circular biotech, maybe that can be interesting to look beyond the EIC itself.
The ERC as well, the European Research Council. That's also.
Okay.
And so we have 4 minutes left. So I think we have time for one more question. I apologize already for potentially misspelling or mispronouncing your name, but Anshul, if you want to go ahead.
Thank you, Anna, and you pronounce it perfectly. Thank you. So I and my team have started a startup based out of Norway, wherein we are working with startups using our technologies that we have created to help them in their journey of running their own startup itself. Example, from the stage of building a new product, launching it in the market, how can they go and scale it? We have various technologies to support them in each part of them. Wanted to understand what kind of grant should we apply for while we are working here, because we check Pathfinder, but that's a lot in deep tech, while it's not deep tech for us. So what kind of grant would you recommend that we can apply for right now? And we have started around 2 to 3 months back. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the question. So indeed, Horizon is an R&D program, so it's based a lot on science and deep tech. So I don't know how technology savvy or R&D savvy your project is. Looking beyond that, I mean, ERC is the same way. I'm not sure in terms of grants, right? Because there are many other funds I mentioned we support through InvestEU. But in terms of grants, where are you based? Which country?
Norway.
Norway?
Norway.
Yes, Norway.
Okay. I mean, my advice would be to start with the local Norway programs, because each country, also through European funding, but through European structural funds, which is a different part of the European budget, finance a number of programs within the countries, and they work through grants entirely, through grants only, and they have different priorities according to the country, and they're also obviously aligned with the EU priorities. They are divided in the different ministries. So I don't know, Ministry of Employment would finance microfinancing, social entrepreneurship, and things like that. Agricultural ministry will help agricultural sector, etc. So if you probably start looking at these national programs first, if you don't categorize yourself as a deep tech startups, but also look at live ERC, the different technologies that fit different areas.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can contact your national contact point as well. They can help you. And
yeah, they're online, by the way, and sometimes they're very useful. So don't hesitate to Google them, search them, and call them.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 1 minute left. So I want to give you all a warm thank you. And Svetla, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your time. It's been extremely interesting and a lot of new ideas and information